Hello, and welcome to this week's Creator Weekly Live for the week ending August 27th, 2023. I'm Peggy Kay, and this week the top updates for creators are from YouTube, WordPress. We've got a fun contest on Vimeo, and there's big changes to the laws in the European Union that affect all the big social media platforms. So first, let's get started. I want to first recommend that you take this week's quiz if you haven't done so already. You can find this week's quiz question, which has to do with the languages used for blogging, on the community tab of my channel. Welcome to everyone who's here live. Hi, Craig. Hi, Jolyn. Great to see you here, and I'd love to hear what you think about this week's updates. So first, let's get started with a suggestion that you sign up for Google's Cloud Next. This is Google's big conference aimed at businesses primarily, but there's going to be interesting information for even regular consumer users. So this is on August 29th and 30th, I believe. And if you go to the Google Cloud Next site, you can sign up for a virtual ticket for free. That gets you access to the video streams, which will be available on demand even after the event is over. When you're there, you can create a playlist of the sessions that you are most interested in, and I have done that. I am mostly interested in the updates Google is making to its products to incorporate AI. This is something that they've been working on in beta for the Google Workspace apps like Gmail, Docs, Slides, Google Meet, and so forth. The other topics that I'm particularly interested in have to do with Google's services for collaboration and meetings. There are sessions on Google Chat and Google Meet. And so I'm looking forward to following those. I probably won't watch live, but I'll watch the recordings. Again, welcome to those of you who are here live. I see Andrew has joined the chat. Welcome, everyone. So I have just done something in Restream that I'm not sure. Okay. So sign up for Google Cloud Next. That's the big event this week. Now I'm going to talk about a few of the updates that the various platforms have had. The first thing I wanted to mention is a feature from YouTube that they are testing. And this is a channel shelf in the subscriptions feed that bundles together multiple uploads. If you subscribe to a lot of channels on YouTube, you've probably seen there's some channels that upload a lot, like multiple times a day, and they just dominate the subscription feed. This test would create basically a shelf for multiple uploads in a short amount of time. That way, channels that don't upload as often are less likely to get buried in the subscription feed. So I think that that is a really cool update. I'm not in the test, but I'm looking forward to this, which I hope will roll out to everyone. Now, one of the big updates that I've talked about for YouTube is that it's removing links from shorts in the description and in the comments. And as an alternative, first of all, you can add channel links to your channel. I hope you guys have done that. You can do that in your Creator Studio. And the idea is that those are more prominently displayed on your channel, on your main channel. You can see now, they'll say, oh, this is the link, and there's 5 more links or whatever, and people can just click that and see the whole list. It's sort of like links in profile on Instagram or other platforms. So be sure to set that up if you have not done so already. The other change that YouTube is making related to this is making it so that you can easily link from a short to your other video content or playlist. So this is slowly rolling out. As I understand it, Creator Insider has a scoop on what it will look like. At least starting out, you'll only be able to add these related links to shorts in YouTube Studio on the web, which is a little confusing since Shorts is mostly mobile, but I expect it will come to mobile eventually. And the idea is then you can use those links to then link to other content on your channel. This is like a mock-up that the YouTube Creator Liaison shared. I'm not sure it actually looks like this specifically, but the idea is you have a short, and then you link to one of your video on demand, full-length videos, or I think a live stream, and hopefully it brings some of your viewers to your other content. So those are the big updates for YouTube in terms of creator features. But I wanted to also mention something else they announced this week, where YouTube is going to be partnering with the record labels, or I should say the music industry, to help develop tools for the AI age. And, you know, there's an announcement. They say they're going to start out working with the Universal Music Group, and they will be working with songwriters and performers and producers to develop something along the terms of AI. Says they are introducing YouTube's Music AI Incubator. The incubator will help inform YouTube's approach as they work with some of music's most innovative artists, songwriters, and producers across the industry, across a diverse range of culture, genres, and experience. That's a lot of talk that doesn't actually explain what they're going to be working on. They do mention Content ID being updated for this new era. And they also talk about new tools for trust and safety and trying to combat manipulated content. So the CEO of Universal Music Group also posted about this, said it's artists first and so forth. I think that the big concern is that this isn't going to be so much artists first as it's going to be music industry first. And of course, YouTube has to keep good relations with the music industry. So this is not surprising. But the big concern is that there are going to be new tools that are supposed to block things like videos that use an AI-generated version of some performer's voice. So, for example, you do an AI-generated video that has Frank Sinatra's voice or something like that. And the concern is that the music industry wants a cut of that using Google's Content ID, but are they really allowed? Should they have a cut of that? I think that's a much bigger question, and the concern is that this is going to be very music industry focused without really considering creators as much. So that is where YouTube is going to be heading in the next short while in terms of AI. It will be interesting to see what comes of that. Jolynn mentions that the quizzes are posted on the community tab on my main channel page, and they should be easy to find if you go there. Thank you for pointing that out, in case folks didn't know. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about changes that are coming in the EU. Now, I am not an expert on international law, but my understanding is that the EU Digital Services Act, as it applies to what it considers very large online platforms that have at least 45 million users in the EU, is very detailed in that it requires transparency reports. It requires an easy way for users to report illegal content. It requires providing information to users about moderation decisions and giving them an option to appeal. And there's changes in the way ads should be served, especially to teenagers and under 18s. But I think the most interesting change is that it requires them to offer an option for a chronological feed. So you talk about these very large online platforms. I'm going to show information from The Verge that lays it out quite clearly. There are 19 very large online platforms, according to the EU. And I'm not sure you can see them all there. They include Alibaba, AliExpress, the Amazon Store, Apple App Store, Bing, Search, Booking.com, Facebook, Google Play, Google Maps, Google Shopping, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, Wikipedia, YouTube, Zalando, also Google Search, I think I forgot to mention. So most of these platforms have made an announcement in the past week about how they are complying with these new legal requirements in the EU. And it's complicated because different platforms work different ways. If you want all the detailed information, I recommend you check out my latest post with the weekly update where I've summarized all this. But I think that the big thing is going to be that chronological feeds are going to be available at least to users in the European Union. So for example, TikTok seems to only make changes that apply to users in Europe. Google has made changes mostly applying to everyone. Every platform has done it differently. So it will be interesting to see if users are actually interested in that, because as it turns out, people talk a lot about wanting to see a chronological feed and then they don't like it because it's harder to discover some content. And if you follow a lot of people, you may miss it unless you spend enough time online to go through your entire feed every day. And I know I don't. Welcome, GOJJ. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If you have a question, you can post it in the chat, and then I will try to answer it. You're asking how to create an account for song distribution on YouTube. The answer to that is I don't know, because that's way outside my area of expertise. If you are a smaller artist, I think it's usual to go through a third-party platform that has distribution on YouTube. There's a bunch of those. CD Baby is one. I don't want to list a lot because I don't actually know the details, but look into third-party services that may help you distribute your music. So I've talked about some changes on YouTube, changes in the European Union to social media, and I wanted to point out now to an announcement on WordPress that I find really, really interesting. WordPress is letting you set up a 100-year plan. Secure your online legacy for a century. And it looks like this includes registering your domain for 100 years, backups, 24/7 service. And I believe this costs, of course, several tens of thousands of dollars. It's really an interesting proposition. I can definitely see some organizations willing to do this, and some people may be willing to do this. You could create a website for your family, legacy. They mentioned that there's going to be ways for transferring the account ownership, because, of course, over 100 years, it's unlikely that the person who originally set up the account will own it for that entire amount of time. So the interesting philosophical question, though, is, do we really think WordPress is going to be there in 100 years? Do we think that the internet is going to be like it is today 100 years from now? Of course, there's no way for us to know, but I suspect there are going to be big changes. So this is, in a sense, a gamble that whatever it is that you set up will actually still be available a century from now. And for a lot of people, it might be sufficient that this will keep things running for the next 20 years, 30 years. So I think it's interesting and a way of thinking about the future. The last big thing I wanted to talk about today that I thought was really interesting is the launch of the Creators Guild of America. This is a nonprofit organization. There's a bunch of creator-adjacent people on the board of directors, including Justine, whose last name I've forgotten, Justine, who is a long time YouTuber. There's an entertainment attorney. There's a person who used to work at Linktree, and so forth. So this is a new nonprofit organization in the US that is focused on doing good things for creators. They say it is not a union, and you shouldn't think of it as such, but there are benefits. Let's see, the benefits, they have ways of recording a list of your creative works, which is especially helpful for video editors, song producers, people who are behind the scenes that might not have a public list of the content that they've worked on. There are resources for creators, opportunities from businesses, networking events. To be eligible, you need to have, let's see, if you are a creator, personality, influencer, celebrity, gamer, blogger, you need at least 2 of the following: 15K followers across 3 or less platforms, 25K or more monthly active website visits, 1 verified platform, excluding Critter, of course, where you can just pay for the check mark, paid activations valued over 15K in the past year, or 5 confirmed creative credits. You can be marketing, which means you do social networking, video, graphics design, photography. There's requirements there. Or you can be what they call a maker, a founder, developer, interactive, designer, producer. And if you don't qualify, you can sign up for their associates program, which lets you access content, networking events, and other things. I think this is really interesting. I will mention that there have been attempts in the past to have sort of a creators union that fell through because they ran out of money or it just didn't work. So it'll be interesting to see how this initiative works. I've registered as an associate, which is free, just to see what the options are. GOJJ, as others have noted in the chat, you only need to post the question once, and it sounds like I can't actually answer your specific questions. You're going to need to contact people who have expertise in the music industry side of YouTube. And I see there's a question from Ismail. Can I permanently remove my website from search engines or Google? You can, and I think you have to be sure to add the code in your robots text file for your website that says you want to block Google or the other search engines. And once you've done that, I think you can request to have the content removed from the search results. So those are the big updates for this week. I wanted to finish with a sort of fun update contest from Vimeo. Vimeo is an alternative video platform. It tends to attract more professional users. And so this is a wacky way to win 1K. And it's a contest that showcases Vimeo's AI-based options. So I'll just say there's several steps. First, you use their AI video script generator to create a tongue twister. And I have some sample prompts you can use, or you can use your own prompts. You then record your short video using their video recording tools that has a built-in teleprompter. And then you can use Vimeo's editing tools to edit the video so it's perfect. As far as I can tell, you can do this with a free Vimeo account. And then once you submit it, you can have it compared to other submissions. It's going to be judged on creativity, confidence, and comedy, and it will be announced at Vimeo's virtual event at Outside the Frame in late September. So if you feel like you can speak clearly with tongue twisters, give it a shot. You could win $1,000 and you could get some views on Vimeo as they showcase the submitted videos. So those are the updates for this week. I hope you all are having a great weekend and have a great week ahead. I will see you all next Sunday. Thank you so much for joining.